Welcome to the Fortified Life Podcast, where we learn how to develop a dependency on Jesus in the marketplace. From the boardroom to the bathroom, God is with you. Here's our host, author, speaker, teacher, encourager, stewardship coach, and my husband, the man they call Mr. Fortified, Jason Davis.
What's going on, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to the Fortified Life Podcast. I am Jason Davis, aka Mr. Fortify, and I'm excited to bring you another episode. Here on the podcast, we talk about developing a dependency on Jesus and the marketplace, and we bring on various guests who are actively living out their faith. I've got to tell you, really excited tonight because we're going to go to the beauty industry. That's right, the beauty industry. And I'm excited because we haven't had anybody on to talk about that perspective. So I'm really excited to get into the stories. And there's no one better to share about the experiences that go on in a hair salon and within the beauty industry. Our guest is a dynamic woman of God. I get to work with her in some capacities on a weekly basis via the Kingdom Business Network. But before I bring her on, let me introduce her to you. Chassidi CeCe Sillemon is a Dallas native and proud owner of IVIBE Incorporated. She is more than just a hair designer and color specialist. CeCe is well known as CeCe the Vibeologist. She has turned the beauty industry phenomenon into a lifestyle. IVIBE Incorporated is a company founded and rooted in faith and perseverance with the purpose of educating women on the art and science of hair care. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Fortified Life Podcast, Miss CeCe Sillemon. CeCe, what's going on?
What's going on, Jason?
Hey, yeah.
I'm excited to be on tonight. Oh my goodness! I don't know why I'm so nervous.
No, this is home field advantage. This is home court advantage right here, CeCe. I'm excited to have you on.
Thank you, and I'm excited to be on, Jason. Thank you so much.
I love it. Well, CeCe, we get to work together on prophetic planning daily on the Kingdom Business Network, but we're going to get into what you do day to day, and that's why I'm really excited to get to the stories with IVIBE Incorporated. And I love what you said in your bio, CeCe, more than just a hair designer and color specialist. Tell us about IVIBE and how you got started.
So, IVIBE is I am victorious, I am intentional, I'm beautiful, and I'm enough. IVIBE, and I always say, do you? And it's just affirming our identity in Christ because we're more than conquerors through Jesus Christ. We are intentional because we serve an intentional God. We are beautiful. Why? Because God makes all things beautiful, and we're more than enough because the Lord is our shepherd. We lack nothing. So all those things are a derivative and what make up IVIBE, which is a parent company to several beauty-based businesses. The salon experience being one. The second is the boutique and a hair care brand along with cosmetic brand as well. And so that's what makes up IVIBE. God gave me that some year, 2023? It had to be around the year 2012. God gave me 2012, 2013. God gave me IVIBE because originally when I started the journey, everything was called Elite. It was the Elite Stylist. It was. I didn't consult God. I was like, that sounds good, so we're gonna go with Elite. But definitely, this second leg of the journey has been super intentional and purposeful, and really understanding my position in the marketplace. So let me say that.
I love that, CeCe, and I love just the acronym there. That's such a powerful acronym. CeCe, you got to tell me. I know they say everything's bigger in Texas, right? So
Yes,
what
it
is, we're going to have I'm sure we're going to have a lot of ladies that listen to this on demand, if not already listening to us live. What is the hair scene like in Dallas, Texas?
Oh my God, the hair scene is it is a super busy market. Can be a bit saturated per se, but definitely Dallas has its own stamp on the hair game. As I like to say, the hair game. It has its own stamp. We produce some great heavy hitters that have come out of the Dallas area that have had the opportunity to work. And I know people personally that have worked with those in Hollywood on a celebrity basis, that have worked with those in the gospel music industry, from those that have worked with the Stellar Awards or worked with the Dove Awards, and worked with some of those major key people in the gospel world, even down to networking, I know, with Kurt Franklin's barber, and other people that service Bishop T.D. Jakes. I mean, it's a very busy scene and very well, a lot of it's a good city. It's a good city as far as the beauty industry is concerned. So let me say that. And growing, and still room to grow. Even though Dallas is huge, it's not where you're like, oh my God, I've reached my max, I can't go any further, because the city is just growing so much, and Dallas just encompasses so many different areas. So if you're, you can be on one side of the city and say, things really are not doing well for me out here, and God will shift you somewhere all the way on the other side of town, and it's like you tapped into a whole different market that's there, So it's great. The scene is great. It really is.
I love it. Shout out to Dallas. Now, CeCe, I'm not gonna lie. That team that plays in AT&T Stadium, I'm not the biggest fan. I like the city though. I used to do quite a bit of travel back and forth to Dallas, and I like it because Dallas is kind of, and this is not disrespectful to anybody from Dallas, but Dallas is like a more spread out Atlanta.
Very.
Yeah, and so in going, I really enjoyed my time, going around the Dallas and the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Mm-hmm. It's really nice. Thank you. So I like going out there for sure. So I'm not a Dallas City hater. I just don't like them boys, as they say.
I was gonna say, it's probably a lot of people in the city. It may be too soon for me to say this. That still don't that have an issue with the boys right now, because we're not going to be in the Super Bowl on Sunday. But that's a whole other topic.
That is. I was going to say,
if you say Super Bowl, I mean, you're going to spark a whole lot of debate and different mixed feelings and looks. I'm talking about from diehard Cowboys fans. So yeah, it's interesting. It's always a constant conversation in the city of Dallas. It's about them boys. Absolutely.
So, CeCe, you talked about the hair game down in Dallas. What are some of now I'm a dude, so I'm coming into this thing I know what my wife does and I know what I see, but I'm all the way here in Atlanta, right? So what are some of the trends you're seeing in 2023? Like what are the ladies doing? What are they rocking these days? Like when women come into the shop, the salon, what are they asking you for?
And the funny part, it depends on what part of Dallas you're in. You can get a multiplicity of answers. But what I will tell you from what we see just in my salon and from others that I have the privilege of being colleagues with as well, we get a lot of people that are coming in that are wanting to go back to wearing their natural hair. At one point, extensions and the wigs and all these lace fronts and laying lace and doing this and that had become really popular. And it still has quite a bit of popularity, but as of course with trends, things begin to shift and change, and people see the necessity of being able to take care of their own hair. And so we see a lot of women that are wanting to get back to having a great head of healthy hair. I've seen this industry start to transition the younger ones from caring for the natural hair and making it all about the different extensions. And just because we can color somebody's hair hot pink, we probably doesn't mean that should always be the case. So I've seen a lot of that take place, but I've also seen women that want to be able to maintain a good, consistent look and be able to maintain the integrity of their hair. And also recently, I'm seeing more women, especially women of color, that are dealing with alopecia. So a tremendous amount of hair loss and the lack of knowledge as it relates to what alopecia really is and what that means long term to that particular individual. So it's forcing me right now to have to go back and get some more education, because I'm a cosmetologist, and that's great, but you have trichologists, and that's another level up, that they have abilities that I personally don't. I'm not licensed or capable or trained to do, but I want to be able to offer that, because there's nothing more frustrating than to see your hair begin to thin and you're losing it, and it's bald, and you no longer feel like a woman per se. And I've seen women just cry like, I don't know what's going on. What am I supposed to do? And to not be able to fully give them a solution is frustrating to me, because I mean, our hair is our glory. That's what the word says. And here we are losing it. So those are the trends that I personally am seeing. And now it's having me to pivot and be able to now look at servicing a different type of client base that is dealing with hair loss. And we're talking about permanent hair loss where there's not coming back. It's one thing for the hair to break, Jason, but it's something totally different when you say, I'm losing my hair. That means it's coming out, or the body's not producing it, the follicles are closed, so whatever is needed for hair to push through is not there. I mean, there are a multitude of reasons as to why they're experiencing it, but I want to be able to help that woman get to the bottom of what's going on, and if it's something that's permanent, what are your options? What can we do so that you can feel beautiful and feel like a woman, and building her up, not only just on the outside, but being also to speak to that wounded woman on the inside. Because believe it or not, we start losing our hair, we wounded. We are wounded on top of other life issues. So just definitely being able to service them in that regard. So that's what I'm seeing.
Wow. You know, CeCe, this is a perfect segue. You talked about just what you're seeing trend-wise, and really ladies caring about the health of their hair. Can you talk about just the opportunity that hair stylists, cosmetologists, the opportunity that you have to encourage and build up clients when you see them? Because we know the magnet is the services, but really you're doing life with your clients when they come in to see you.
Absolutely, Jason. It's when I say funny, I mean ironic. You know, at one point when I was a young woman, you know, the salon was always known to be a place of mess and a lot of gossip and confusion. Let me say that. And so, you know, what we realized is people would come in and, you know, they would tell their most personal business. And at some point, someone behind the chair or even within conversations within the salon, that business got exposed. And then it just, in ways that wasn't conducive or building up, it was more of a tear down, a judgment. You know, it wasn't done in a positive or in a loving manner. And I think it was a certain generation of individuals that missed their mark to be as impactful outside of just doing hair, but to be impactful to those women that were sitting in our chair. But, you know, everybody doesn't always look at their business as a ministry. Everybody doesn't always look at the chair as a ministry. It may be more so it's about the dollar, and I'm popular right now, so we're going to make it about that. But then I've also seen a generation of women, I think of Mary Llewellyn, God rest her soul. She's a staple here in the beauty industry. I went to her when I was a little girl. Her name is synonymous even in the gospel world of those that they were able to impact and have interaction with, but then also to bring impact to the community and to the young women, mothers that were bringing their daughters in that needed to get their hair done and maybe were on certain types of income restrictions. She was able to work with them so that she could treat and care for their hair early on and feed into these young women. I was one of them, a little girl, Shelbi, going to the salon with my mom every week and having the privilege of sitting in her chair every 2 weeks. So my mama was like, you're not grown, so you're not getting your hair done every week. You get it done every 2, but not every week. And that fascination of seeing that is what jogged my interest to even go home and pick up a curling iron and decide to play with my dog. Now, Jason, I got whooped a whole lot for tearing up dolls. I mean, they had the best cuts, best bobs, and everything. I was cutting pixies when I was a little girl, and my mother was like infuriated with me, like, why do you keep cutting these dolls' hair? I'm like, 'cause it's fun, but it's because of my experience on Saturday mornings of watching her with these Marcel curling irons and the way it smelled and hairspray and cutting and it was all of that. And then I watched her be able to build into women that were going through divorce, or maybe a woman that just laid her husband to rest, or maybe she's on the outs or something that's happening with her children. And so I saw that early on, and I got away from it when I first got into the industry because, as I shared with you on our Friday platform, I did it as a response to finding myself young, unwed, and pregnant. And I need to take care of my children. And so it didn't sound like a solid game plan to my parents, so they weren't very supportive right off. And so when I first got in it, it was just simply, I need to feed my kids. I need to take care of my children. I didn't want to be in a position to where I had to be dependent on the system or anything like that. I wanted to be able to give them a decent living and also have the flexibility to be a mom, because I was a very single mom at one time. Let me say that. With all that being said, it wasn't until midway through my career that the light bulb went off, and God was like, this is what you were supposed to be doing all along. Do you remember, all these times when you were a child, playing with these dolls and doing this and doing your aunt's hair at the kitchen, at the kitchen stove, pressing and rolling your grandmother's hair and putting her color on and doing all that. And now you find yourself here, and there are other women that are hurting, that are clueless, just like you were. And now it's your time to be a light and share who you are with them. And so that's where the light bulb went off, and it's like, okay, this is more than just hair. It's ministry. It really, really is. And it's not me cramming, saying Jesus down your throat every 5 minutes, but it was more so about an interaction and just giving them a safe space to come in and be unguarded and to relax and to feel like they could share without it turning into a cesspool, a mess, a gossip haven. I wanted women to come in that were, battling through some of life's hardest trials, and maybe they are putting on face to the world, but here is your place of transparency. I have been privileged to know information that other people didn't tell their family. I'm the first one to know when someone's filed for a divorce or say, hey, do you have an attorney? I'm there like, I've had all these scenarios or I've had women that were in their 50s, in their 40s. I've had about maybe 3 or 4 women that have sat in my chair and cried and told me the things they experienced as a young girl, how they were touched inappropriately, molested or raped or so on, or they were a product of this. I mean, name a scenario, and I've encountered it, but I also have seen these women overcome. So not only is it ministry for me to talk with them, but they help me. They help me get through my broken areas. They help me to be better and to be greater. I've always been blessed, and I didn't see it that way, that older women took an interest in me and poured into me. The older women, they would send people would send their mothers to me to get their hair done, and those mothers would pour into me, and they would teach me how to be a better mother. They would teach me how to, have you prayed about this? Did you pay your tithes? I mean, just fundamentals for life, that they were reinforcing things that I was being taught, that I had been taught as a young girl, bringing me back into, hey, have you done this? Or CeCe, don't forget to do that. And I'm thankful for that. So I have. I'm thankful for the opportunity to not only be of service, but to also be poured into, that God has allowed me to connect in such a way that I pour, but I'm also poured into as well. I hope I didn't take too long to answer that question.
No, I love it. Hey, unleash the fire, CeCe, unleash it. CeCe, as you were talking, what really stood out to me is you said using the chair as a ministry. That was a really key takeaway. What an opportunity that we have in the marketplace to be that listening ear, to be the shoulder sometimes that people need to cry on, and that just speaks to your intentionality in your heart when clients come in. So that definitely shines through and is evident, CeCe.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm wondering, CeCe, given the industry, right? There's a lot of, there can be gossip and rumors and all of that. So how do you maintain an environment of integrity and confidentiality and a safe environment for your clients when it's widely known that it's easy to take topics there because people get in the shop? So how do you, as a business owner and as a woman of God, how do you keep a handle on that? Because I know I'm sure you've got some stories there too, CeCe.
Oh my, I do. Do I ever have some stories? I've been in list. I think we've talked about some of those. One of those scenarios of me actually being a client on the client end of it with my sons and walking to a less integral environment and having to really pull them out very quickly. And I've also worked early as a young hairstylist. I've worked in some less than integral environments as well. So I always knew, even before I fully dedicated my life to the Lord, I knew early on I did not want to have a place where it was mess and gossip. I just didn't. It's too much. It's too much. It's way too much. And so really being able to take and control the narrative is setting the tone, the atmosphere, definitely getting up in the morning and having that time with God where you're praying, God, lead me through this day, guide me, God, cover my business, operate through it, and setting the tone, setting the atmosphere. Even when I get into the salon in the morning, with certain types of music, God gave me, no profanity, no this, no that. Certain types of television shows or even certain types of music not being played within that space, just because we want to maintain a certain level of integrity and we don't want it to lead way into things getting, so clients know when they come in, they automatically tell because the tone has been set, via myself, my husband, and even those that I've brought on board that have worked in the space with me. I think I've shared that with you before, that everyone couldn't come work there because everybody didn't match the type of environment we wanted. I've had top stylists that were great and super talented, very popular, but their integrity was not the case. And I know that we're meant to be a light a lot of times, and always we're meant to be a light in dark places, but I also have to have a conducive working environment with those that are going to come in and their clientele with them. So it's about being super strategic with who you allow to come and even operate in the space. One, two, actually I would say that's two. One is it begins with me as the owner and as who God gave to steward the business. So definitely make sure I'm in alignment. Two is who you bring in, and three, being able to even just navigate the conversations with clients and making them feel comfortable and safe in the environment. So they already know how to conduct themselves because the pattern and layout has already been set. And so they feel that when they come in there because it begins with me. And at some point, if I'm off keel, then everything else in the atmosphere is off with me because you get what I'm saying? Because God gave it to me to set the tone, for him to usher him in, to have him come in and have his way. Even with the workers that are working in there, whatever their experience and whatever they're going through, so that they feel like there is a safe space for them as well. So it falls in several different directions, but definitely being able to steward those conversations. That's big time. And you have some clients that want to come in and turn things a certain way, and you just have to wrangle it back in such a loving manner, almost, just throw them off guard, with doing it. And then they automatically know, oh, I shouldn't, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Like, yeah, let's not bring that up. Let's not do that in here, So, yeah, that's, and it is a task when you say that.
I'm sure that's an ongoing task. CeCe, some of the things you're sharing, and folks, as you're listening, I mean, CeCe laid out some things about working in an integrity-driven environment that apply to multiple businesses. And so that, with your leadership, CeCe, that's some gold that you gave us there. I think some of those things that wouldn't just be for a salon, that would work for a product or service based business. So thank you for dropping that wisdom for us.
Absolutely. If I could, let me.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Before you go, I want to go back to it. It beginning with me. I think one thing we have to definitely look at one point in my business prior to this current venture we're in, I was a little frustrated with the team that I had that I was working, that was working with me and I had in the salon. And, I was one of God and I was complaining. I was being honest, God, I don't like, I'm kind of in my feelings with God. You know how we do, Jason. We get in our feelings and we have all these little tantrums and God let us get it all out. And he did. But he kindly reminded me, well, what is it that's going on with you? Because they're a reflection of who you are. They're attracted to you for a particular reason, be it good or bad, And so it's being able to distinguish if it's something that I'm seeing within my environment or even with those that I'm in direct connection with that I do not like, if it's consistency, if it's integrity. If I'm less than integral, then I can't expect my team to operate in integrity. So I can't put an expectation there of something that I'm not walking in. Why? Because they are now a reflection of me, because they were drawn here. They were drawn here to work here for, whether it was a popular place or it was the newest place or hey, they want to work with CeCe, whatever the situation may have been, whatever the draw is, whatever's going on with me, then they're a reflection of. So if it's something that I see in them that I don't like that's operating, or I don't like how the environment or how they're functioning or how things are being done, then I need to take a hard look at myself and say, okay, what am I putting out that's causing this cause and effect? Because it didn't come out of anywhere. And sometimes as owners, it's especially I've seen it in the beauty industry, for us to take a look back at self and being able to establish where we need to be better. And I realized quickly I was lacking in certain key areas. So I had an expectation of people that I myself wasn't showing up and being. So you can't expect that from them and you're not being it. So it made me always go back and look at me and say, okay, what do I need to shift? What do I need to do? How do I, going back to God, okay, God, how do I operate? I don't like how I'm seeing this. What is it that I need to do different? How do I need to pivot, so that we can see the results and all those things that we're looking to see, whether it's from a profit standpoint, an environmental standpoint, whatever the situation may be. I always go back and look at me, that my team and those that I'm blessed to be colleagues with are a reflection of who I am. And at some point, if I see something that I do not like, I probably need to look at myself more than I need to look at them because, again, they are a reflection of me.
CeCe, that was some heart surgery right there. My goodness. It starts with the man or the woman in the mirror. That is huge.
The mirror.
My God. The mirror concept. CeCe, as you've been talking, I can just hear the ministry pouring out of you. But I have to ask you that you're okay with sharing, that is, but perhaps what's one of the craziest stories you've seen that's occurred in the shop that you're okay with sharing? I did put that caveat because I know you've seen a lot of things, but maybe what's one that was really, really funny that people need to know, just to give a day in the life of what could happen down at the salon?
Oh gosh, this is going to be quite difficult because I have a ton I could pull from. I'll use, because this one is funny for me. I had a young lady. I was doing her mother, and the mother had three daughters. And so I did the mother and the three daughters' hair. So one of the daughters is in. She's actually a twin, and they have natural hair. It's virgin hair. They don't have any relaxer, no chemicals, no color, anything. None of that is on their hair. And they only get it blown out and pressed out, but maybe once or twice a year. Otherwise, they wear it in its natural texture, pretty consistently. They love it. They are Embrace Your Curls girls. So this particular day, this baby wanted her hair, mom wanted her hair blown out, and so did she. So she brought her in, and I noticed that she had quite a bit of product on her hair, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And so I said, okay, well, let's get her to the bowl and get her shampooed. And so I began to shampoo her, Jason, and I'm watching the water. I'm wetting her down to apply shampoo, and I'm watching water bead up off her hair. I'm like, that's interesting. I've never seen that before. And so I said, okay, maybe it's whatever she has in here. I'm going to do my first shampoo, and surely that should break it down. Jason, I did the first shampoo, and it's like the hair laughed at it. It didn't do anything. It didn't lather. It just sat there, and I was like, what is this? And so I went to rinse it back. I said, okay. And on my mind, I was like, okay, maybe it's going to be the second shampoo. So I'm running water over, and it's still beating. It is like beating up like water repellent. And I'm like, what is going on? So, Jason, we get 4 shampoos in. We are talking clarifying shampoos. These are shampoos that go and, pretty much take everything out. So, and you have to put the moisture back in. But right now, I just need to get all this product off her hair. It is doing nothing. And I'm sitting here sweating, and I'm stopped, and I'm sitting here like, oh, my God, what is this on her hair? And so she's sitting there just mindlessly on her phone. And I'm going for the 5th shampoo. I said, okay, this is ridiculous. We are 5 shampoos in, and it is no better than it was the first time. And so I asked her, I said, baby, what is this on your hair? What have you been putting in your hair? And she looked at me, and just unbothered. She said, oh, I've been greasing my scalp. I said, with what? And she said, beeswax. I said, oh, my God.
Wow.
Why would you grease your scalp with beeswax? She was like, because that's all we had. So I just used it, Miss CeCe. I was like, oh, my goodness. So, Jason, I had to stop what I was doing, go over to the store. I had nothing in my arsenal to combat the beeswax that was in her hair. I had to go get some Suave shampoo, some vinegar, and some baking soda, and we had to create a paste so we could break this stuff down in her hair. And still 5 shampoos later, it wasn't until we finally got it's out. And so, and by the time her mom got back, she had looked at me, she said, CeCe, are you okay? No, I'm not. I'm not okay. Baby traumatized me today, and in the end, for the daughter, she was none the wiser, but I was genuinely just frustrated with this child. And so, needless to say, her mom thanked me for taking the time out to just figure out what was going on, not rushing her through. I couldn't even halfway send her out. It was bad. It was really bad. So, of course, that her mother is still my client. That baby is in West Point. She attends West Point right now. She's in the military and doing well. But that's one of the craziest ones I've ever had. And I'll share another that's really impactful. So, and this one is recent. It was at the salon, and one of my older clients came in. And normally when she comes in, she's real spry and vibrant. And so when she comes in, she's there. And so I went to speak to her, and I noticed I couldn't hear what she said. But I thought maybe it was because of the position where she was in the salon and where I was. And so I said, well, I'll just wait till I get up there, to mess with her. And so when I got to the front, and she came around the corner, and I looked at her, and I said, how are you doing today? And she said she could barely answer me. And I looked at her, I said, are you okay? And she went to wave me off and say, just give me a minute. I'm going to be okay. And I'm like, okay. Mm. And so I got her to the bowl, and I noticed she had a look on her face that was really disturbing me. And I asked her again, I said, Ms. Diane, are you okay? And she said, and I'll say her name because if she'll go back and listen to this, and she's going to be glad to share this because she shared it herself. So I'll say her name. And she could barely get her words out. And so she kept saying, but I'm going to be okay. She kept waving me off like she was going to be okay. And immediately the Holy Spirit said, go call her daughter. Stop and call her daughter now. And I got ready to bait off my feelings and said, well, she said she was going to be okay. But her look disturbed me, and I heard what the Holy Spirit said, so I stopped immediately. I went to the front. I called her daughter. I said, hey, this is CeCe. Your mom is here. She had an appointment with me. I said, but she doesn't look good, and she's not able to really talk. I said, I don't think she's having a stroke because I'm looking for the signs of a stroke. her words were coming out, but they were really low. They weren't gibberish. Her face wasn't drooping. So I was like, okay, it's not a stroke. And so as I'm sitting there longer, she gets up, I bag her, and her daughter says, I'm on my way. I said, well, do you want me to call the ambulance? She said, no, don't call the ambulance. She said, I'm on my way. I'll be there in a few minutes. So literally, by the time I got back to the bowl and rinsed out the conditioner I put in her hair, and I sat her up, her daughter was walking in, and she sat down in front of her and asked her what was going on. And my client looked at me and was a little bit frustrated, like, I'm going to whoop you, like, you in trouble. And so I'm like, no, ma'am, you don't look right. Something's going on. I'd rather you go get checked out. I did not complete the service that day. So they go on. She takes her mom. My client's daughter comes back and says, thank you for calling me, CeCe. And I said, okay. The next day, Jason, I get a call from the daughter. Her mother was having a heart attack at the salon.
Oh,
and they
gosh.
were rolling her into open heart surgery.
Wow.
And she began to cry. And she said, I want to thank you. She said, because you paid attention enough to my mama to know that something was wrong with her. She said, and you called me. She said, because otherwise, the doctor said, had they had waited any longer, she'd have died because she had 100% blockage.
Jeez.
And it scared me. I said, oh, my God. So, see, she was sitting there having a heart attack in my face. What if my mind had been somewhere else? What if I had not been in tune with the Holy Spirit? And all these what ifs started going off in my head. But I was thankful that I was able to pay attention, that I knew automatically she wasn't herself. Something's wrong. I'm looking at her face. Even though she's telling me I'm going to be fine, she wasn't. I'm looking like, no, you're not okay. You don't look good. And so she had to have open heart surgery. And they had to, I think it was, triple bypass or something like that. And they had to go in and do all that. And she's since recovered and come back. But even the mom, Miss Diane, called me and cried and said, thank you, CeCe. You saved my life. So I'm not saying I can take credit for that. I said, no, there's nothing but the Holy Spirit, because the Lord told me to call your daughter, to stop immediately, go call your daughter. Because I was getting ready to call 911, but the daughter said, no, I'm on my way. And that was it. So I understand my position even more now behind the chair, because you don't know where anything can happen at any moment. And there she was in cardiac arrest, and what I think a heart attack would look like, Jason, it didn't. I'm thinking like, oh, she would have clenched and she would have, I'm looking for this dramatic moment, and it wasn't. She was in distress. Her face was telling me, but she wasn't giving me the physical indications. Like, she didn't grab any. I'm looking for that TV drama heart attack, krill over. Like, no, she just, again, being in tune with the Holy Spirit and the Lord telling me, go call her daughter. Stop now and go call her. Something's wrong. And so I'm thankful for that. So I understand the position all the more. And it's even pushing us to start CPR training, because what if she had passed out and I wasn't able to resuscitate her or be able to give her some aid until those first responders arrive. So it gives you a different revelation of who you are and where God has placed you very quickly. And I will say that. So those are my two things I'm going to share.
Wow. Both were powerful. You had one, a little bit more humorous. I didn't even know you could put beeswax in your hair. I didn't even know that was an option. I know the girl said, I talked about a lack of options, but I didn't even know it was on the table. So I learned something new there.
It is. They actually use beeswax a lot of times. A lot of Eastern braiders, those that are out of Africa, when they braid with beeswax because it controls the hair. And then two, people that wear locks, it also is used in lock when they're palming to control and lay that hair down so that it'll roll in a better manner. It can build up excessively on the hair strand. So it's not always a go-to, but yes, it is an option in the hair industry.
Got it. And then, like you were saying, thank God for awareness and discernment that, she was right in front of you exhibiting symptoms, and just being there to be aware and to serve, and hey, something's not right. And yes, you're absolutely right. When the Holy Spirit gives us those prompts to, hey, look into that. Hey, go check on her. And look at that. A life was was saved.
Absolutely.
Thank God for his. He highlights people for us, and then the mom, sure enough, was highlighted that day.
Absolutely, Jason. Absolutely.
CeCe, they call you the Vibeologist, and you probably know I was going to ask about that. Tell us, how did you come about branding yourself that way, and what do you want people to know about? Hey, when you see CeCe the Vibeologist, like, this is what's going down.
Okay, so in the industry, everybody has these nicknames. Hey, Jason the elite barber. I'm just using it for example. So and so, blessed and stylist, and it's like, okay, well, see, as much as my God-given name, Chassidi, is unique, it is not what I use in the industry, because the little old ladies in the beauty school used to mess my name up, Jason. I mean, they would just mess it up terribly. They called me everything but Chassidi. Cassidy, Shelbi, Cassida, the little chubby girl that worked in the back. I mean, I was everything. I was like, you know what, mother? Just call me CeCe. So I'll say that's how CeCe came about. But then the Vibeologist became when, of course, the salon, we changed over to IVIBE. And I thought about all the roles and hats and positions that I'm blessed to be able to play. I'm a chemist, I'm a biologist, I'm a psychologist, I'm a therapist, I'm some of everything, prophetess, I'm minister, name it. I'm multifaceted. So what better way? We're going to put vibes, and we're going to put ologist, and we're going to make it together, and it's called Vibeologist, because at any point, I am one of many hats to you sitting behind that chair. I am often the one that again, they tell us their most intimate things, so having to be the shoulder to lean on, the therapist, the psychologist. What's going on with you? What's going on with your emotions? Okay, are you stressing? Your hair is, the list goes on. Being able to be a chemist. Why? Because I'm a colorist. So color is all chemistry. It is very much chemical reactions and, catalysts, and how do you neutralize pH, all these different things. So I have to be able to put that hat on and formulate, and being able to correct people's issues. If they come in and say, oh, CeCe, I turned my hair green. Can you fix it? I really want it to be blonde. Okay, what are you going to do to get that green out of her hair? So it's multifaceted because of the many hats that I am privileged to wear on a daily, every minute, every second basis, depending on what client is sitting in my chair. So let me say that. So that's how the Vibeologist came about. And they can always expect me educating you on what's going on. And if it's something that I'm not as well versed in, I'm very transparent, Jason. I'll say, hey, I haven't had very much experience in this, but let me do some research, or let me reach out to some resources to see what our options are, So that's what the Vibeologist is. It is about bridging the gap between the art and science of healthy hair care. And that's the best way I can surmise it.
I like that. The combo of the bridging the gap between the art and science of hair care. That's a mic drop right there, CeCe.
Because, they come in, they have pictures, they want all these things, and I want my hair to do this, and can it whippy do over here, and can it swoop swirl over here, and it's like, no, Mama, your hair not going to do that. That's not possible. And having to have that realistic conversation, and then being able to bring attention to other issues that are even going on. Because our hair and our nails are a large indication of what's going on internally in the body. And if we don't know how to read it, you'll miss it. I'll say this is another significant thing. 3 separate instances I have had women start having issues with their hair. It wouldn't hold a curl. It, wasn't adhering to chemicals, whether it be color, relaxer, or even if they were wearing it natural, it couldn't get it to do anything. It wouldn't curl, Jason. It wouldn't bend. It just was like, it's just there. Like, what's going on? And it wasn't until I expressed to even one of my clients' daughters, I said, something's going on with your mother. And I said, because her hair, it's not adhering to anything that we've been doing, and I've tweaked it several times, and it's not doing anything. And she was, having some complaints. Same thing with my grandmother, my grandmother's hair. I'd done her hair for years, Jason, and I watched the texture change, and she no longer needed a chemical, and it wasn't the same. It was totally different. It wasn't holding a curl. I could roll her hair on the smallest roller, and it wouldn't do anything. I mean, I could put I say Lottie Body, it's the type of setting lotion that they can lock anything in. Like, it wasn't doing anything. And it wasn't until later that we found out she had stage 4 cancer. So,
wow.
Again, the hair told me something's wrong. Something's going on. You need to go see what's going on. You need to go have your levels checked. Same thing with that other client. She was in onset of dementia along with some other health issues as far as cancer was concerned. And even recently, I had the same thing happen with another client. Her hair would just, we would get it to, but it would just break, and it was just brittle, and it just wasn't making sense. It's like, okay, what's going on? And I said, nah, you need to have I would make an appointment with my primary care to see what's going on. And sure enough, she has cancer. So sadly, but that's that vibeologist part that comes in to know what's going on. What is it supposed to do? Because it's definitely a science to making people look good. Let me say that. It's definitely a science to it. So, yeah.
My goodness. CeCe, you have told us stories. You've made us laugh. You've made us cry. You've given the full range of emotion. We've been ministered to. We've been inspired. And we're out of time. But before we go, CeCe, you talked about everything you were. One other thing that you are, it's really a combination of a few things. You're a media personality, an influencer, but you're also an author. So before we go, talk to us about the book you wrote in 2018, and then just give us a brief overview. What are you excited about for 2023?
So the book in 2018 is Broken Bitter Better, On the Road to Greater. It is a book that I had the privilege of being able to work with my great friend and coach, Miss Pamela Jackson. I absolutely am thankful for her helping to really shed light on being able to share my journey. And that's just dealing with the broken pieces of who I was and recognizing it and how much that brokenness fueled my thought process and even my decision-making abilities, and being able to accept ownership for the part I played in my poor decision-making at one point because of the brokenness, let me say that. So that's what the book is about. It's about the little girl, CeCe, where broken began, and then how it kept re-perpetuating itself in different cycles and situations in my life up until my mid-30s. And so we close out the book with me going through a divorce at the time and having gone through bankruptcy and pretty much looking to put my life back together and, what that looked like. And so this year, with that being said, so that lays the foundation of being able to write a second book that I have not started on yet, but God has planted in my heart to write the second book as what does the road to greater look like? And the road to greater doesn't always look like the yellow brick road with the sun shining and the birds chirping, that even in the midst of dark times and cloud and traumatic times, that you're still on the road to greater and better. And so definitely shifting focus to begin to work on that second book. And I haven't fully been released as to what the name is going to be, but just know that that's being worked on. And doing my Get Up reels on social media, on TikTok and Facebook, telling people to get up. It is a mental conversation that you have with yourself every day, of deciding to get up out the bed. And as much as it's a physical thing, it's really speaking to the mental construct of get up, come on, snap out of it, being able to have that, how you have that conversation with yourself. Girl, come on, get yourself up. Oh, come on, Jason, get yourself up, get yourself together. You got ABC to do. Remember that God is, and reminding yourself of who you are and what God has called you to be, and that who God is to you in the midst of every moment, every second, every junction, every obstacle, every hindrance, every setback, every frustration, every victory. Whatever it is that you're facing, it's the mental standpoint of I need you to get up. Come on. It's time to get up. It's time to mentally awake and arise and stand up and be all that God has called you to be, to walk in position in every moment of your day, to always be in a place of integrity. And it's definitely answering the call to a societal norm that we've accepted of just kind of living any kind of way and just allowing our emotions to just get the best of us and just, losing sight of who we are and who God says we are and getting caught in our feelings and challenges that we're facing. And we lose sight of that. So that get up speaks to multifacets. So I shared that on Facebook and TikTok. And I have one other thing I'm working on, and we haven't fully put it all together, but that is to do a Monday morning power call in the morning that consists of prayer, morning devotional, and being able to power up your week with a whole get-up message so that we're able to move forward and focus, especially in these very turbulent and seemingly straining times, let me say that. So those are the things I have the privilege of working on right now, Jason. And as other things come, I will be more than happy to share them with you.
I love it. I love it, CeCe. You always have a wonderful way of getting me hype and excited, so I love it. CeCe, where can people get a copy of your book, CeCe, and then also in terms of contact, social media, how can people find you?
So you can find me, of course, as I am CeCe Sillemon across every social platform, be it TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Instagram is getting ready to go under overhaul just because the algorithms have shifted. So I am CeCe Sillemon, and YouTube will be launching by the late spring of this year as well. So you can find me on all platforms at I am CeCe Sillemon. And the book can be found on Amazon. If you Google my name, or even if you put in the book's title, Broken Bitter Better, On the Road to Greater, it will immediately shoot up and you can order it. So, yeah, and unless they want to come by the salon, if they're in Dallas, and they're more than happy, I'd be more than happy to have a copy on hand for them there. So, yes.
Hey, yes. Drop in and drop by. Listen, I'm not in Dallas, CeCe, but I can tell you if I were, I would drop by for sure.
And if you do come, don't be a stranger. Please do. Let me know and come by. Please do. Please.
Absolutely. Well, that's all we have time for today. CeCe, just greatly appreciative of you coming on the show. You shared so much wisdom. You told powerful stories and gave a whole word all in one. So that, folks, I told you she was a powerhouse. I told you that. So you've seen the evidence. So, CeCe, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
You are very welcome, Jason. Thank you for having me. I am honored. And thank you to your audience for listening and having me as well. I'm thankful. Thank you so much.
Love it. Love it. Well, folks, you know how we end things. From the boardroom to the bathroom, God is with you. Don't compartmentalize your faith in the marketplace. We'll see you next time on the Fortified Life Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Fortified Life Podcast. You can catch us live on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time and on demand. Check out fortifiedlifepodcast.com for more details. To learn how to live out your faith in the marketplace, grab a copy of Jason Davis's book, Fortified, Being Rooted in God's Plan for Work and Business. Available on Amazon.
You're listening to Your Worldwide Podcast.